All right, welcome in everybody here inside Jordan-Hare Stadium. Nathan King here with Jason Caldwell at Auburn Undercover. Auburn is now looking for its first SEC win as they enter the second half of this conference schedule. Jason, and they are favored in a game for the first time in SEC play so far this season. Big drop-off in competition here for Auburn, really until the Alabama game. This is a team that the wins and losses have not been what they wanted. At the same time, Jason, not necessarily an unexpected record for this team right now, but when you look at the product on the field, biggest thing is these fans here today inside Jordan-Hare Stadium, they want to see this passing game improve.
This offense scoring in general. I think if they ran for 400 yards and scored 35, they'd be okay with that. Yeah. It's going to be tough to do. Mississippi State's defense is stout up front, very experienced, a couple of really good linebackers. So Auburn, you think Auburn's going to have to make plays in the passing game. Will we see more tempo in the passing game? Will we see more of that? Will we see more of Caleb Burton, Camden Brown, Jay Fair, that three tight end mix a little bit? I think we will. Will it lead to some more big plays? It's a perfect day, not much wind, should be nice out here. Fast track. This sets up about as well as a day can for the offense to kind of find its footing.
Yeah, it's a little warm for the end of October. I'm still waiting for it to become fall weather here. Will the passing game improve? Will this quarterback rotation continue? We got to talk to both quarterbacks this week. Robbie Ashford and Peyton Thorne. I thought both guys were very candid on Tuesday. Robbie Ashford's always going to be that way. Peyton Thorne said, look, this has been a little frustrating. It's not something he's used to doing, swapping in quarterbacks. It's not something he's really seen anybody else do. And so will that continue this week? Obviously, it's been the game plan all throughout the season. The fan frustration, I think, has come more so in the middle of drives, pulling guys out. The reality is there's a lot more problems than just the guy who's throwing the football. But again, going into a stretch of the season where the defenses are still pretty good. These next two defenses for them are pretty solid. But overall, the level of competition isn't as high as what they face. This would be a really good spot for those guys to start to pick up some steam. But as we've talked about all season, it is not just on the quarterback for Auburn. Everyone else on the offense has struggled a good bit.
Correct, there's a little bit more margin for error, and this team hasn't had any of that the past 4 weeks, and it's shown up for them. Today, a little bit more margin for error, but that's on paper. You don't know what happens when you get out here in a game. If you turn it over a couple times, that margin's gone for this team. They still can't afford those kind of mistakes, and they've been pretty good at that so far this season. But can you go out and capitalize on the opportunities that you have? That's what we talk about. Most teams will have 4 or 5 plays they don't make in a game, but they make 6 or 7. This offense is making 1 or 2 and missing 4 or 5. You got to start making a few of those opportunities that you have and create some opportunities and avoid second long, third longs. That has been the killer for this defense. Mississippi State's going to try to do the same thing. Those linebackers combined for like 7.5 sacks. They're going to be aggressive. Can you avoid negative plays today?
Yeah, and can the health of Auburn's offense and defense, but the offense is starting to get a little bit healthier. This is really, we've only seen, Jason, this full stable of running backs in SEC play for 1 quarter. Before Damari Alston was injured against Texas A&M. Freeze confirmed this week. He said, cleared to play. We'll see how much he goes. But I think just that could be a big key because like you just talked about, they've had trouble, I think, when this team has been able to sustain drives, and that's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, but they've just gone 3 and out so much. The offense has struggled to get off the ground. I did the numbers, Jason, of their 20 drives in SEC play, of their drives in SEC play, they've gone 3 and out 20 times. It's like 41% of all their possessions. So maybe getting a guy like Alston back in the mix, having these running backs be a little bit more balanced, a little bit, fresher coming off of the bench, that could be a good thing for them. Because like you said, Mississippi State's good against the run, but this might be a game where Auburn's like, look, we're going to lean on that because we know our quarterbacks haven't been necessarily the greatest, and Jarquez Hunter's coming off of a good game, so that might be an area for Auburn to lean on today.
Yeah, I think something else too to watch for is can they find the simple throw? Can you find the 4-yard check down to avoid the 10-yard loss?
Right.
That's the difference between making plays, scoring touchdowns, and having to punt on 4th and 14. Can you make some of those check down throws to your backs, to your tight ends? Hey, the simple things, turn around 5 yards, and if nobody's open, get it to them. Make a positive play. That's going to be really important for this team. And, can they do those things? And then other side of the ball, defensively, can you continue what you've been doing, which is give this team a chance to win?
Yeah, speaking of quarterbacks, you mentioned the defensive side of the ball. We're not expecting to see Will Rogers today from Mississippi State. You never know, but all indications are that Mike Wright, the Vanderbilt transfer, is going to get his second start. Look, Will Rogers is a guy who has torched this defense the last 2 years. Very different system, though. He really wasn't having as good of a season before the injury. Mike Wright, though, dynamic player, 15 starts at Vanderbilt. This is not an inexperienced quarterback. their offense didn't play well, but he's still a guy who went on the road and won last week. And so it's going to be a challenge for this defense, but at the end of the day, I think we're expecting, with the way these offenses are playing, this is a low-scoring game, most likely, and that's a game that Auburn has wanted to have this season because they're obviously not built to be in a shootout right now.
Yeah, no, I think if you can start to get some momentum and get a little bit of offensive flow, then you have it. This offense has the ability to do some things, but you got to get into a rhythm, and they haven't had that really since like the Sanford game for this offense. And so, can you find those things? You're right. I think you look at this Mississippi State offense right now, and maybe more important than that is the health of Jaquavius Marks. Woody Marks, the running back. He's been bothered by had his ankle wrapped up. He's had other issues. He's been kind of the catalyst for them in this new style offense. And if he's unable to go, then it really puts a crimp on them and probably forces more Tulu Griffin. I mean, he's really dynamic. He had a kickoff return for a touchdown last year against Auburn. That's a guy that if you're Auburn, you probably have to pay extra attention to today, because what you don't want to do is give up a freebie or a big play touchdown to this offense.
Yeah, Hugh Freeze said it on Thursday. He said this might be the best kick returner we've gone against all season. He said it's the first time they might have to scheme against a guy in the return game. Obviously, teams have kind of worried about that with Auburn all year with Brian Batee, but now they've got to worry about it on the other side. Still on the defensive side, Jason, they're getting healthier on that side of the ball. We saw the impact that Keontae Scott made last week. I mean, he played almost the entire game. Targeted 3 times in coverage, didn't allow a single catch. And then Austin Keys at linebacker, I don't know if he's necessarily at full strength in terms of the way he's playing, but he at least gives you more depth at a position where some of your backups have been pretty shaky this season. And so I'm just wondering if today you already got a week under your belt with this defense as healthy as they've been a long time. Really, this team is starting to get a little bit healthier. I think both of us picked Auburn to win this game. It would obviously be really big because, look, their next 3 opponents, including this one, Jason, a combined 1-12 in the SEC. You've got a good opportunity to get yourself back in bowl eligibility.
This is the most favorable and winnable stretch of games that Auburn has in the SEC. There's no question about that. You have New Mexico State on the back end. This is an opportunity for momentum, but that's the biggest thing right now for this team. All the things we just talked about, there's one word, is confidence. Can they make some plays and have a little confidence? If they can do that, then this is the team that we've seen it. They can compete with anybody. They've already done that on this schedule. But can you go out and make a play or two to win that game? We'll find out today.
Yeah, and it hasn't been during the week. We talked to these guys. It's not like they're lacking confidence or motivation at practice. We talked to them during the week. Everybody's in high spirits. This is not a team that has any locker room issues or anything like that. But it's like you mentioned, getting that to translate to the field could be really big. You win 3 of these 4 or something like that going into the Iron Bowl, you never know what happens. So 2:30 Central Time on SEC Network today, Auburn versus Mississippi State. For Jason Caldwell, I'm Nathan King. Join us all game long into Sunday at auburnundercover.com. We'll have you guys covered with all sorts of stuff from the game today. Appreciate everybody joining in. We'll talk to y'all soon.